So since the movie ended, I understand that he has actually kind of tried to continue this pattern in a couple of, maybe Nebraska or two states where he's bought some property. Has he made any progress there?
Yeah, he tried to take over another town in North Dakota that's near where he's living now, a town called Antler that has 30 people. And he actually bought some properties there, but then the town sort of figured out what he was doing, and so the town bought out the individual seller that was selling the properties to Cobb, and they've gone bankrupt now. So they're actually doing a GoFundMe to try to, become liquid again. So he's not going to be able to take over the town of Antler. But yeah, he's not allowed to leave North Dakota without permission of his probation officer, but his mother lives in Missouri. He recently went down to visit her, and then on the way back up, he stopped in Nebraska and Kansas, allegedly, and it seems like he's bought some properties in these states, and there's a lot of Facebook chatter about this.
Do you have any idea where he's getting the money to do it? And it's not much, right?
Yeah, no, it's not much. I mean, a lot of these properties are pretty cheap. Like you saw in the film, he was buying those lots for about $500 each, and he had worked in the oil fields very briefly. But for all we could gather, we asked him this question quite a few times, is that he seemed to have inherited some money from his family. And that's where he left it. I don't think that he's being funded. I don't think there's a lot of money in the white supremacist sort of like
business.
Yeah. So I don't think it's coming from any organization like that.
It's interesting that he hasn't. I know for a fact that there are small towns that are incorporated that literally have no population that he could just take over and have his own town. But obviously that's ultimately not the point of it, right? The point is the attention, or who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's this, Chris and I, we had never heard of anything like this before, and this idea that Cobb has is called Pioneer Little Europe. It's something that's been around since 2000, but it is a sort of an idea that white supremacists have of taking over, these small incorporated towns and creating an enclave. And I think when we heard about it, we were sort of blown away, and I think it will happen. I think that there's a lot of movement on the part of these groups that are trying to take over these towns, and it seems like Cobb really, if not for his temperament, would have been successful. So I would not be surprised if someone is able to take over a town. I mean, there's been attempts in Kalispell, Montana, and in Idaho. So yeah, it's kind of terrifying.
Well, it is terrifying, but I can't help compare it. I understand that this is a comparison that only goes so far. So please don't cut that out of me saying this if we put this online. But there are towns in upstate New York where Orthodox Jews have kind of gathered. There's a great This American Life story about some evangelicals who basically took over the city council of a town. And I guess that's less terrifying because I agree with those people more, or identify more. Maybe I think they're more rational. But it is, I mean, I hate to say this phrase, but it seems like a really slippery slope.